He can read people so effortlessly that most assume it's intuition, but they never consider the darker side of what he sees. A Sigma male with dark empathy isn't dangerous because he's cruel. He's dangerous because he understands emotions he doesn't need to express. He feels deeply, studies silently, and moves strategically. And while others manipulate loudly, he influences quietly, by knowing exactly what drives a person long before they know it themselves. This side of the Sigma male is rarely mentioned, not because it's destructive, but because it's unsettling. The combination of emotional intelligence and emotional distance creates a paradox most people can't decode. He can sense your intentions, predict your reactions, and spot the weaknesses you try to hide. Yet he chooses restraint over exposure. That level of control is what makes people uncomfortable. Not his power, but his refusal to use it unless absolutely necessary. When you mix empathy with independence, silence becomes a diagnostic tool, and detachment becomes his shield. He sees everything, reacts to nothing, and understands everyone, without revealing himself to anyone. That's the side nobody talks about, because they're too busy wondering how he figured out the truth before they said a word. If this darker, more precise version of empathy resonates with you, you're already part of a rare mindset most people will never reach. Now, a question for you. Do you think reading people this deeply is a gift or a burden? Silent Insight. And subscribe to Silent Wise, where we decode the truths most people are afraid to admit. He reads emotions with extreme accuracy, noticing motives people don't even admit to themselves. It begins with a stillness most people overlook. The quiet way his attention settles on someone, not to judge them, but to read the emotional code beneath their behavior. While others get distracted by words, attitudes, and masks, he sinks beneath the surface like slipping into deep water, sensing the emotional currents that reveal more than any confession ever could. A slight hesitation before a smile, the stiffness in a handshake, a shift in pitch, the way someone's eyes dart when truth brushes too close, these microsignals form a full psychological map in his mind. But it's not just observation, it's interpretation. He sees the fear behind bravado, the longing behind sarcasm, the insecurity hidden inside arrogance. People think they're complicated, but to him, they're transparent in ways that would feel uncomfortable if they knew how easily he interprets them. This emotional accuracy is not something he flaunts. It's a quiet, shadowed skill, a survival instinct refined into intuition. He reads motives people haven't admitted even in their own internal monologues. Someone claims they're just being helpful, but he feels the hunger for validation behind it. Another insists they're fine, yet he catches the tremor in their voice that betrays exhaustion or heartache. Someone tries to manipulate him gently, but he spots the angle instantly, the emotional leverage, the guilt hook, the subtle attempt to win advantage. He responds not with confrontation, but with a withdrawal so calm it disarms the entire strategy. There's a reason people feel exposed around him without knowing why. His presence acts like a mirror, reflecting back the truth they avoid. He doesn't weaponize this empathy. He simply can't turn off the ability to sense what others hide. And in a world full of people terrified of being seen too clearly, his silent accuracy can feel like danger. Not because he intends harm, but because he sees the parts of them they've spent years avoiding. His gift is understanding. Their fear is exposure. He understands others' pain deeply, but stays detached enough to never be controlled by it. It's a paradox that defines him. He feels people more intensely than they feel themselves, yet he refuses to drown in emotions that aren't his to carry. When someone walks into a room, he can sense the heaviness in their chest, the tiredness behind their voice, the fracture hidden under a forced smile. Their pain hums like a frequency he naturally picks up, a subtle vibration in the air that tells him something is breaking quietly inside them. He understands heartbreak without needing the story, betrayal without the explanation, loneliness without the confession. It's what makes him magnetic to wounded people and threatening to manipulators. He sees the wound before the performance begins. But unlike empaths who get swallowed by what they perceive, he practices a kind of disciplined emotional boundary that feels almost supernatural. He steps close enough to understand, but never so close that he absorbs the chaos. He can sit with someone's grief without becoming responsible for it. He can hear someone's anger without letting it distort his inner world. He can witness someone's manipulation tactic, playing the victim, guilt-tripping, or emotional baiting, and feel nothing but clarity settling into place. His compassion is real, but it's clean. It doesn't come with self-sacrifice, self-blurring, or emotional debt. This detachment isn't coldness, it's protection. It's how he stays rational while everyone else reacts impulsively. It's how he keeps his purpose sharp instead of letting emotional storms redirect his path. And it's why people often misjudge him. They sense the depth of his empathy, but they don't understand why they can't control him through it. He won't fix everyone. He won't bleed for anyone who drains him. He won't be emotionally hijacked just because he understands what someone is feeling. His boundary is simple. I feel your pain, but I will not carry it. And that balance, the ability to understand without absorbing, is what makes him quietly powerful, unshakable, and immune to the emotional traps that break most men. He mirrors people subtly, making them feel understood while he gathers silent insight. There's a psychological precision in the way he responds to others. Not imitation, not flattery, but calibrated reflection. When someone speaks to him, they feel strangely comfortable, as if he already understands their emotional language without them needing to translate it. His posture shifts just slightly to match theirs, his tone aligns with their rhythm, and his expressions mirror the emotional temperature of the moment. It's a subtle technique, almost invisible, yet deeply disarming. People open up faster, reveal more, and let their guard down without realizing they're doing it, because he feels familiar, like someone who gets them instantly. But what they don't realize is that while they feel seen, he is gathering information. Every mirrored gesture, every matched breath, every calibrated pause is an entry point into understanding who they really are beneath the surface. He studies their emotional reactions, tests their inconsistencies, and listens to what their eyes say when their words don't match. By reflecting their energy, he sees how they respond to themselves. If someone becomes louder when mirrored, they're insecure. If someone softens, they're relieved. If someone becomes defensive, they're hiding something. Their reaction to their own reflection tells him everything. This mirroring is not manipulation, it's diagnosis. It helps him map emotional terrain quickly, without asking direct questions, without triggering defenses. While others talk to assert themselves, he listens to reveal them. He learns what motivates them, what frightens them, what wounds they hide, and what power they seek. It's an empathetic technique, sharpened by logic, a blend of sensitivity and strategy that few can recognize, let alone match. And by the time they sense his depth, he already knows whether they belong close to him or far away. He senses manipulation instantly, yet pretends not to, studying patterns before responding. The moment someone tries to twist a narrative, guilt-trip him, flatter him with exaggerated praise, or disguise intention behind charm, he feels it like a shift in atmospheric pressure. Sigma intuition doesn't detect manipulation through logic alone. It's an energetic disturbance, a subtle misalignment between someone's words and the emotional frequency beneath them. He notices the micro hesitations, the strategic phrasing, the rehearsed tone. He hears the why behind the what. But instead of reacting, confronting, or exposing it outright, he goes still. That stillness isn't confusion, it's analysis. He allows the manipulator to think they're succeeding, because people reveal the most when they believe they've gained the upper hand. He listens longer, watches deeper, and pays attention to the patterns behind their tactics. Do they push harder when they believe he's passive? Do they soften when they sense resistance? Do they repeat the same emotional hooks? He studies these behaviors the way others study maps, carefully, quietly, identifying every route, every pressure point, every predictable move. He's not fooled, he's gathering data. This silent observation gives him an advantage that manipulators never see coming. While they believe he's neutral or unaware, he's already tracing the architecture of their intentions. He watches how they shift when they're challenged indirectly. He notices what they avoid clarifying. He registers how their mask slips when they think no one is paying attention. And through this, he learns more about their insecurity than they'd ever intentionally reveal. When he finally responds, it's decisive and clean. No emotional outbursts, no dramatic confrontations, just a calm boundary, a strategic withdrawal, or a quiet dismantling of their strategy. Manipulators expect reaction, but he gives them reflection, a mirror so clear it makes them uncomfortable. And by the time they realize he saw everything from the beginning, he's already too far ahead for them to influence at all. He knows how to influence behavior without force, using emotional awareness instead of dominance. A Sigma male never pushes, never commands, never demands obedience. Yet people shift around him as if pulled by an invisible current. His influence isn't loud or aggressive. It's psychological, calibrated, and rooted in his ability to read emotional landscapes with precision. While others try to assert dominance through volume or authority, he shapes outcomes by understanding what drives people at their core. He recognizes insecurity disguised as confidence, ambition hidden beneath hesitation, resentment behind politeness. And instead of confronting these emotions head-on, he guides them subtly, almost imperceptibly. He adjusts his presence like a dial, silent to calm a heated room, direct to cut through confusion, detached to destabilize manipulative intentions. He doesn't impose pressure, he removes it, letting people reveal their authentic reactions. And once he understands what they genuinely want or fear, he can influence behavior by aligning his actions with the emotional truth beneath the surface. He uses questions that expose contradictions, pauses that make others reconsider, and clarity that dissolves unnecessary conflict. His strength lies not in forcing movement, but in making others want to move on their own. People find themselves opening up to him without knowing why. They mirror his calm, adopt his pace, and adjust their tone because his emotional stability creates a gravitational pull. He doesn't manipulate, he orchestrates alignment. Even silence becomes a tool, a space where others confront themselves, rethink their intentions, or reveal motivations they intended to hide. And when he does speak, his words land with weight because they are grounded in understanding, not dominance. This is why his influence lasts. It doesn't rely on control, it relies on clarity. He shifts dynamics by shifting emotional atmosphere. And long after he leaves a room, the tone he set stays behind, guiding decisions, altering behavior, and reshaping interactions in ways people can't fully explain. He can predict relationships, conflicts, and outcomes because he sees psychological dynamics clearly. A Sigma male doesn't wait for chaos to unfold. He senses the first tremor long before anyone else notices the ground shifting. While others focus on surface behavior, he reads the undercurrents, the guarded glance between people pretending to get along, the shift in tone that signals resentment, the overeager friendliness that masks hidden motives. These subtle cues give him a panoramic psychological view of any situation, allowing him to foresee how relationships will evolve, where tension will explode, and who will fracture under pressure. It's not intuition alone, it's pattern recognition built from years of observing human nature from a distance. When he walks into a room, he sees emotional architecture. Invisible frameworks of insecurity, attraction, rivalry, loyalty, and fear. He notices who defers to whom, who competes quietly, who feels threatened, and who pretends to be indifferent. From these micro-interactions, he can map out future alliances and conflicts with startling accuracy. It's why he rarely gets blindsided. He already knows who will betray, who will drift away, who will grow closer, and who will implode under their own unresolved wounds. This foresight shapes his behavior. He doesn't invest in relationships destined to collapse, nor does he engage in arguments that will go nowhere. Instead, he positions himself strategically, neutral, observant, and always one step ahead, letting others reveal their trajectory without his interference. When he withdraws, it's never impulsive. It's because he has already seen where the path leads. When he stays silent, it's because he knows speaking would change nothing. And when he chooses to act, the timing is precise because he has studied every variable. People often mistake his detachment for indifference, but it's actually clarity. He sees outcomes others refuse to acknowledge, and he adjusts accordingly. This makes him unpredictable to the reactive, but perfectly consistent within his own logic. His ability to predict dynamics is not magic. It's mastery of human psychology played out quietly, one observation at a time. He hides this dark empathy because revealing it would make others fear how much he truly knows. A Sigma male never shows the full extent of his perceptiveness because the truth is simple. If people understood how deeply he reads them, they wouldn't feel comfortable around him anymore. He sees too much, the envy behind a forced smile, the insecurity inside loud confidence, the silent resentment buried beneath politeness. He catches emotional microsignals people don't even know they're sending. And he understands motives they haven't admitted to themselves yet. This kind of insight can feel supernatural, even unsettling, so he keeps it locked behind a calm, unreadable exterior. His dark empathy operates in silence. He listens more than he speaks, watching how someone's energy shifts when topics change, how their eyes betray their real intentions, how their breathing tightens when truth brushes too close. He observes contradictions, the person who preaches loyalty but never shows up, the one who acts strong but collapses when challenged, the one who pretends not to care but vibrates with jealousy. These observations form a psychological map he memorizes without effort. He knows who is safe, who is deceptive, who is lost, and who is dangerous, long before their actions confirm it. But he never reveals these insights, because he understands the reaction they would provoke: fear, defensiveness, distance. People want to believe their inner world is private, even sacred. A Sigma male's ability to navigate that world without permission threatens that illusion. So he plays along, allowing others to think he's simply quiet, introverted, or detached. Meanwhile, he's collecting truth like a silent archivist. By hiding his dark empathy, he protects himself and others. He avoids unnecessary chaos, spares people from feeling exposed, and maintains control. His silence becomes both shield and strategy, the boundary that keeps his insight from becoming a weapon. And in a world full of masks, the one who sees behind them must remain hidden, not because he fears being known, but because he respects the power of what he knows. When a Sigma male carries this depth of insight, he learns that silence isn't just protection, it's precision. He doesn't need to reveal what he sees or explain what he understands. His power comes from watching quietly, choosing wisely, and moving deliberately. And the people who underestimate him never realize how transparent they were in his presence, until he's already gone. If this version of the Sigma mindset resonates with you, don't disappear just yet. Stay with us. Subscribe to Silent Wise, drop a comment telling us your perspective, and let me know. Do you think dark empathy is a strength or a burden?